Okay, previously we analyzed a firm's optimal labor output in a perfectly competitive market. So now we are going to turn to a monopoly market. By monopoly, we means that the firm is the sole suppliers of the market. And again, firms will, in terms of deciding how many units output should a firm produce, such that it maximizes profit, firms always also follow the MI equal to MC rules. Okay. What's the difference compared with the perfectly competitive market is that now MR is no longer equal to price. Think that now if I'm the monopoly firms, I'm the only supplier in the market, and now I'm faced with a downward sloping demand curve. I'm faced with downward sloping demand curve. Okay. So, which means, okay, if I want to sell just one unit, then I can charge a price. Oops. I can charge a price this many. Maybe this is $10. If I want to sell 2 units rather than 1 unit, 2 units, I cannot charge it $2. I cannot set the price of my output at $10 because no, consumers won't buy that many. Consumers at price of $10, consumers are only willing to buy 1 unit. So in order to sell my output, I need to drop the unit, drop the price, say from $10 to $8. So now the margin revenue is less than the price I receive. Okay, because when I cutting the price from $10 to $8, I need to cut the price for both these 2 units, not just the second unit, both the first unit and the second unit. So the margin revenue decrease is less than price. Oops. So that's demand curve. So now margin revenue. Say for the first unit, I can sell at this one, and that's the margin revenue. For the second unit, I need to set the price. This one, say from 10 to 8, but now the margin revenue will be less than this, so it will be lower. So the margin revenue curve should be steeper than the demand curve, or more rigorously, margin revenue is twice steeper than demand curve. The intuition, you can prove this point rigorously, but we won't do that. The intuition is that since I'm faced with a downward demand curve, if I want to sell more, I need to cut the price. And be aware of the fact that if I cut the price, not just cut the price for the last unit, but also the price of all previous units. So now the margin revenue will be it will be much less than the price I receive. So the margin revenue curve is twice steeper than the demand curve, or in other words, for the next unit output, the actual revenue associated with this unit output is much lower than the price levels. Okay, let me just draw a diagram. So downward sloping curve, demand curve, twice steeper, margin revenue curve. and this firm has average cost, marginal cost, as usual. Again, so now the decision that the firms want to make is how many units output should the firm produce such that the firm can earn the maximum profit. Again, think in terms of margin. So the first unit, the actual cost is this many. The actual revenue, if produce just 1 unit, now the extra revenue to produce 1 unit, the actual revenue is this many. Go from the unit 1 up to the margin revenue curve. Get out this margin revenue. That's the margin revenue, margin cost. So clearly, it's a good idea to produce first unit. Similarly, should I produce second unit? Compare the margin revenue, margin cost, and the margin revenue. Now margin revenue is this many, so on and so forth. So again, the optimal point will be the intersection point between the marginal cost curve and the margin revenue curve is this point, which means quantity of QO. So that's the optimal quantity. To get the price, go from quantity up to the demand curve, without the price PO. So produce the monopoly firm will produce this many output and charge a price at this many. So the total revenue will be this area. Let me use a different color. Total revenue, this area, this purple area. Total cost. Is go from quantity up to average cost curve without the average cost. So that's total cost. So this firm is making profit here. Okay, so that's how a monopoly firms will decide how much it wants to produce and at what price the firm want to charge. Okay, let's analyze the welfare here. Demand curve, margin revenue curve, average cost, okay, I'm going to get rid of the average cost curve, don't need that one. Demand curve, margin revenue curve, marginal cost curve. So the monopoly firms choose the quantity output to maximize its profit by choosing the quantity such that M equal to MC, which means producing this many output, and charge a price, go from the quantity up to demand curve without the price. Okay. Now here comes the one question. Is this labor output socially optimal? Okay. So to answer this question, let's say suppose the firm is producing a QO. Now let's say if on top of QO units, should the firm producing one more unit standing at the society's point of view? Okay, for this unit, or plus 1, for the firms, the actual revenue is this many. The firm can derive actual revenue this many. Actual cost will be this many. So from firm's perspective, it's not a good idea to produce one more unit on top of QO unit. However, from the society's point of view, oops, is this a good idea? Let's have a look. Okay, to produce one more unit, the actual cost on top of QO, the actual cost to the firm is this many. However, the society is willing to produce, consumers are willing to pay for this. For this unit at this price. So now, from the society's point of view, actually, the actual benefit, which is this many, is higher than the actual cost of this many. So from society perspective, we should produce this extra 1 unit output on top of QO unit should be produced. Doing keep repeating this exercise, we find that the socially optimal level operates at this point, where MC cross the demand curve. Let's call this Q1. This is socially optimal. So compare with the socially optimal, the red point with the firms optimally, the blue points, we can see that the labor output is the monopoly firms produce less than the socially optimal labor output. And there's a dead weight loss here. This triangle, which is dead weight loss due to the monopoly. Okay, and this actually justifies sort of regulations on monopolies. Okay, that's all for week 5.